Hey, Crypto Media friends, welcome. In a little bit of a quick rush, but wanted to try and talk quickly about this concept of smart NFTs, and we talk about you'll hear more and more about the Lego style of development with NFTs, and kind of the interoperability within chains, especially the Polkadot system as it's developing, having access to all the different chains that are on Polkadot, which makes it so super powerful and is already existing in Cosmos and is in practice right now in Cosmos. People often overlook this, that Cosmos is actually first to interoperability between blockchains, and it's doing a heck of a job. But this, as I was kind of going down a deep rabbit hole with RMRK, which is, let's take a look at eternally liquid, forward compatible, nested, conditional, and multi-resourced NFTs. And they're making a real play for the metaverse here, and I think that's what makes it super sexy and why you're seeing it in Moon right now, because they're taking the rightful place, it seems, as that bridge that we talk about between NFTs and the metaverse, because they're adding these interoperable systems to NFTs. And so, can you guys read that? I'm going to zoom. I think we see more. Here we go. Set up NFT logos that are standalone, but also allow the creator to build a system of arbitrary complexity when putting them together. And so GitHub, this is just exactly what I'm going to do today, is the GitHub style of showing you guys, because the CEO of Remark put together a very nice video that I'm just going to play, because I think it's the best showcase of the potential here with smart NFTs. And so and you can see, as I said, sort of there's a mention here, somebody mentioned them. Like, subscribe, hit the bell notification, and put in the comments below who mentioned them. But clearly they're just off. I'm like thinking about it this morning. I'm like, I should probably talk about it, and then somebody mentioned it and it mooned. But for good reason, because the Polkadot chain is now, they just started their first auctions, and we've been kind of going through how to participate in the crowd loans for those auctions, and they're off and running, and I think they got 11 chains that they're going to go after in this first round, in this first month, and so may the odds be forever in your favor. So we have just an explanation of how this happens. Now, Remark, I wasn't able to find, obviously they have coin, and you can get that. I wasn't able to find their status, honestly, in the Polkadot system. There's a whole sort of Polkadot ecosystem page that shows you where exactly projects are within their phases of crowd loan funding, etc. Put in the comments section if you have that link, because I wasn't able to find it. Certainly they're not up with the likes of Akala and even Latentry, who's getting super hot. Keep an eye on Latentry. Let's talk about this smart NFT.
And they belong to collections. An image resource can be one of the resources of that NFT, but it can also have another, like a PDF resource. And it can also have a base. And so this is a base with multiple parts. These are all parts, and parts can stack on top of each other. We use Z indexes to stack them. So this one has the lowest Z index, this one has +1, +2, +3. All right. And so you have these parts that can stack. One can be themed, one can be a slot into which you can equip another NFT, then another themed one, and then a top part. And when you put them all together, you end up with a cool image. And then you can also alter priorities. So in a UI, the visualization will show you the image first, then the base, then the PDF. But you can also switch the priority so that the PDF comes first, then the base, and then the image. And when you visualize this now in a UI, if the UI doesn't support PDFs, then it will default to base first and then image second. So it always follows this priority which you can switch. So you can flip between which priority resource you wanna display. And this is something we're using in the Canaria project, where some people have alternative art of their birds, that was custom commissioned by really cool artists, and people can switch between the base resource, which is a composed image of different parts of birds, or the commissioned art. We also have several interactions, or it doesn't actually, interactions to interact with this new system, and you can now see here how complicated this would be to develop and standardize on it. But because we were starting with clean slate, we developed these as we were involved in the project. So let's go through an example. This is the Chunky Funky example, and let's assume that we have a character called Chunky. Let's assume that we want to put some items into his hands, like a flag and a pencil. If you just create a flag and a pencil and try to add them to a character visually, you end up with this. No. You could get around with this by cropping the flag or pencil so that it fits in the hand. That's not a good solution. A better solution is to do this. You separate out the hand from the base. So now you have this, all of this is a base, and these are all parts. This is a body part, this is a left hand part, and the right hand part. And what you end up with is this part here has a z-index of 0, which means it's at the bottom, and his hands have a z-index of 2, which means they're at the bottom. And z-index 1 is reserved for a slot into which you item. Now we can place these items into the Chunky's hands, but if you consider the viewport, there's a big square around it. If you look at the flag itself, you can see that it's right in the viewport. That looks weird if you visualize it on a main search result page.
These are sort of the exact problems that I'm facing right now as I'm developing my own project. It's how to work with the artist to kind of come up with these very specific layers.
So for that, you can see this doesn't really look good, right? And so you would add another resource that actually centers this flag. And so one resource is reserved for being equipped in the Chunky's hand, while another resource is reserved to be the main display in galleries, or inventory, whatever it is. Now let's say that a new project arrives, the Funky, and we want them to hold the items as well. But obviously this doesn't, like we know already that we have to split this up, it's fine. But obviously this doesn't fit the previous item. It's much smaller at an angle when compared to the Chunky flag. So we add another resource, a smaller angled flag. So now the flag has 3 different resources. The real kicker here is that you can add additional resources to an NFT long after it's been minted. And this gives future proofing to the NFT. You can add new resources to NFTs without being aware of which projects are coming in the future. If 5 years down the line, somebody develops a blockchain-based Minecraft, and we just add a new 3D resource to the same flag NFT, it will become compatible with that Minecraft project. People will be able to do that. So you get long-lasting liquidity, long-lasting utility, forward compatibility with your NFTs on Remark. They don't stay in your wallet and gather dust until the next hype wave hits. Instead, they have long-lasting utility that really extends into future projects almost indefinitely. And so you end up with 2 different characters, 2 different resources, 2 unrelated NFT projects. So now if I have like a Bored Ape on NFT, it has a hoodie, but I also have a CryptoKitty Generation 2. That kitty could equip the Bored Ape's hoodie if the ape unable. So these are all child NFTs and mutual NFT interactions. So the flag itself is a separate NFT. It has a resource that matches the hand of the Chunky and the hand of the Funky. So depending on which character you equip it in, that is what resource gets used. And so now we've put it all together. This is the demonstration of the Canaria project. So with Canaria, you have like this whole end result. The end result is a card and some inventory. And at the bottom you have like the merit. Then you have some gems, which are non-transferable NFTs. Then you have the image of the bird rendered from different parts of the base. And
so as a creator, that gives you a sort of a great overview of how not just the art should be laid out and organized, but how it begins to have interoperability by sort of giving it certain terms, but having to organize it in a way that allows for future proofing to some degree, to like, maybe just one or two steps ahead. Because if you're dealing with, I'm just kind of looking at Vogu, and I was almost playing with Vogu, and made a joke in the room where I put like all the different hands under Vogu, because you just kind of can put it up and add it as your own layer. But how does anybody can do that, or can we add NFTs that we purchase a la carte to them? And so that addition, I think, is what a lot of people are playing with right now, with the elixirs and the potions, and a lot of those things that change and add rarity to the NFTs. And so I wanted to thank Bruno Skwork, the founder of Remark, RMRK, Remark. Interesting team. And this is kind of what led me to them. And I'll be honest, it's looking for those sort of firsts on chain. I've been, I think when you look at Moody Crows, everyone was like, oh, that's a first on Solana. Looking at, I forget the name right now, it'll come to me in about 2 minutes, but the first on Cosmos, which I was able to get 3 of, very, very barely last minute. And here, the first KUSAMA native NFTs here on Singular. And so we're just kind of reviewing, the marketplace, but I was just like, this has so much more to it, I think, Remark, and its potential in the way that it's viewing how to assemble these and how to assemble the NFTs. And so as creators, I think this is the way. As creators, we have to be looking at, how are we going to make our collectors rich? How are we going to give them utility? How are we going to give them, enriching them in all the different ways that NFTs have possibilities of? This allows for the connectiveness to the other chains within. If you're doing this, if you're going Polkadot, which I think is the way, or Cosmos, because you can offer not just your own utility, you can offer the utility of so many other chains. And I think one thing I don't know if we saw on Remark was his. Okay, so his chat here. Now peep this. This is the power of Polkadot.
The Canary project actually spread out pretty nicely across a ton of different chains. Unique Network specializes in NFTs. It's going to inherit our logic. Karura, a DeFi chain, they're going to add Remark, and by using Canaria, you'll have certain birds that when you...
Now that's just mental to me. You can have increased staking rewards by holding an NFT in Akala, or in Karura. And so that's, just one massive major way, as he says, very nonchalantly, kind of cool, amazingly cool. And, having, and you can see it here, BitCountry is right in front of our face. The metaverse, having NFTs applicable in BitCountry, it almost has to be a partnership in a sense. And what's funny is, like, anytime you find anything on the same chain as Polkadot, it almost has to be, and he kind of points out they have to be partners within that chain because of the multi-chain interoperability. Pretty cool stuff, to put it lightly. And so check out the Singular. The prices are kind of all over the map. Like, you have 5.5 KSM, 6.9, and then you have 0.36. It seems to have. I was checking out sort of the interoperability of these itself. It does seem to be sort of nascent, much like anything. But I will say it is a bit more original. Like, when I'm looking at this seems so much more original as a marketplace already, which is why I think a lot of people like KUSAMA, which is why I like KUSAMA a lot, because it feels like it's made for artists. It's made for creatives who want to try things that are a bit different and a bit new. And so, when I went to the Solana marketplace for the first time, I saw the Bored Apes rip off, the CryptoPunks rip off, everything. It was just like a derivative of everything else. And, oh, hey, Moody Crows was the first of those, and they kind of looked a lot like, I guess nothing, because it was crows, but they were moody, so they weren't bored, they weren't, they were more pissed off because they were on Solana. And so these, as a marketplace, this feels so much different to me, and so for me, that gives me a lot of, it gives me some excitement when it comes to the potential of the marketplace, as well as when you see that the company that runs the marketplace is also working towards interoperability with these NFTs. It makes me very, very curious as to the future, and certainly I think that's kind of why the coin is having some liftoff right now. Early liftoff, mind you. I don't think it's too late to get in on a $222 million market cap. Not by a long shot, especially dealing with NFTs and look, there's a lot of marketplaces, but this is the first marketplace on KUSAMA. I like that it's native, interestingly enough. We'll take advantage later, I think, of the interoperability between all the chains, including Ethereum, as things progress. And one thing I thought was interesting too was that the founder of Remark was like, "I'm here for KUSAMA. I don't care about Polkadot." So I thought that was a very interesting take, to just exist on KUSAMA, because I think, again, KUSAMA being the more experimental has that vibe, and I think that's kind of cool. Like, again, like this is sort of like, march to Polkadot has been the way for, I think, every project that I've seen and covered. But this is the first that was just like, I saw the founder was like, yeah, no, we're not doing that. We're sticking to KUSAMA. We like the ecosystem here. It's experimental, and more power to them. All right, guys, have a great weekend.